Welcome back to the IE427 garage, everybody. This week I think we're going to work on the radiator fan. Now, we do have a Factory 5 supplied fan and a breeze shroud on our radiator now. But I'm going to show you there's a big difference between the fan that's supplied with the kit and the fan that we're going to put on the car. Now, I could have easily started working on the brakes today. I do have all the parts to do the brakes in the back to make the 15-inch wheels fit properly. What the owner had done, because these are Team 3 15-inch Halabrand style wheels, was that he put spacers on in order to allow the Factory 5 supplied 11.5-inch rear brakes to fit. The problem was they still didn't fit. And so any rotation of the wheel just ripped the wheel weights off the inside of the wheels. So what we're doing is we've got some new brackets that I ordered. They're here. I've got all the hardware. I have some brake pads upstairs, I believe, but I think the owner is going to get some Hawk autocross pads for the back, and we're going to put those in. But I have to do some major modification to one of the track lock brackets in the back in order to still allow the wheel to go in. And so I'll kind of go over that in this video, but we're going to concentrate all our efforts this week on getting that cooling fan mounted to the radiator. So this is the fan we bought, and I'll see if I can include the part number for it, but what it is a cooling fan for a late model, I guess you'd call it, Thunderbird. So for about 94 through 98 year Thunderbird that had a 4.6 liter V8 in it, this is the fan that it used. Now, it uses the same connector as all the other Ford fans of this era. So like the Mustang and the Cougar and all those use the same fan connector. The fans themselves are just a little bit different in size. We've ordered these fans from a couple of different manufacturers over the years, but always for the same application, so for that late 90s Thunderbird. And this one is really well packed. They're all well packed when they ship them, but this one is extremely well packed. So let me get it out of the package, and then we're going to pull the existing fan and radiator out of the car, because it's just simpler to mount the fan to the radiator with it on the bench rather than in the car. And we'll get to it. We got the fan all unwrapped, and then I've got the connector right here that is going to plug in right there. We'll go ahead and wire that pigtail into our fan wires. Now, we are going to cheat a little bit, and we're going to utilize the green thermal wire that you would use for the 33 hot rod and the 35 pickup. We're going to use that as part of our supply wire system, because we need a higher ampacity, and the blue wire that Factory 5 supplies on their 30 amp relay and 30 amp circuit are kind of questionable to start with. We need about 40 amps for this fan, so we're going to take that green wire and the blue wire, we're going to run them in parallel, and we're going to tie those to our connector, and then we're going to end up adding another ground stud right over here. Since I'm going to have the welder out anyway, I'm going to weld a ground stud right over here, and we're going to feed a ground into the harness here and down to the fan, and we're going to have all the ground and all the power we need. We're going to intercept those wires for the fan right at this connector. So we're going to probably, on this side of the connector, take those wires loose. We'll end up mounting our relay right in here, so it's accessible through the top cover. And we're going to add a 40 amp maxi fuse, and we'll probably put that down here where our fuse box is so that all of the fuses will be located in one central location. Now, I'm not going to go through the whole install of the fan on the radiator because you can actually go to one of our other videos. I think the last one I did like this was on Michael's car. It's the exact same radiator, it's the exact same fan. So I'll link that in the description here. You guys can go watch that video for a full install of how it goes in. I'll bring you back once I have this thing ready to go back in the car, and then we'll go over, you know, how we're going to wire it. We'll go over the ground studs because I'm going to work on getting those ground studs in this video too. All right, I am under the car, and I'm getting ready to prep all these studs to be welded in. And if you look, that is a 1/4 inch bolt. So just in relationship, there's my finger. So you can see how small that bolt is. That will not work, guys. You gotta have a larger bolt in that spot if you're gonna use this as a ground. And I'm afraid when I pull this apart that none of the powder coating has been cleared away from around that hole either. We will see. I'll pull this thing out and I'll bring you right back and I'll show you whether or not it had been cleaned. But yeah, this is one of those reasons. We put a 3/8 bolt in there. I've got the 3/8 bolt right here. I'm getting it prepped. So I'm gonna grind the back of it so that it's ready to weld. And that's gonna go in here from this side. So the head of it will be right here and it'll go out through the chassis that way and provide us a really good ground for the chassis. Oh, there you go. It's just a hole. The only parts of the hole, or the only parts of the chassis that had been cleaned out and the powder coat stripped off was the inside. And when you've got a 1/4 inch hole going through a 5/16, or when you've got a 1/4 inch bolt going through a 5/16 hole, it's not going to make a really good ground. You need to make sure that the powder coat is cleaned off. Now, we're going to actually clean off the powder coat from this side. And I'm going to take and weld the bolt or the stud in there. And that, along with the weld, is really going to make for a good ground so that coming out the other side, we're going to have the exposed threads. We'll put a nut on the other side, and that will be a good bearing surface for any of the grounds that we tie to it. First thing I did was I opened up the hole to 3/8, so I drilled it in from this side, and then I took a small drum sander on my drill, and you can see how much of the powder coat I took off. It's imperative that you get this down to bare metal or bare steel before you weld, or even if you're just going to bolt it in there. Like as it is, this is a way better ground than what was here previously. So we're going to go ahead and break out the welder, but before I do that, I want to get each of the other 2 locations prepped so that I can weld everything at the same time. Well, we haven't done a music update in a while, so Metallica, For Whom the Bell Toll. I'm under the car, and man, I was having issues with the welder yesterday, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. But I got the stud welded here to the chassis for our main battery, chassis, starter, pretty much our everything ground under hood. The paint is still wet. I touched this up after getting everything welded in, dressing the welds. Again, I'll get to that in a second. But this one down here is in. Let me lower the car down and I'll show you the other 2 spots that I welded in ground studs. Before I lower the car down, I wanted to go ahead and show you the fan down here below the car. Everything's in. I went ahead and I got the wire harness tied into the car. So you can see we bought a pigtail that has the kind of terminated ends into the actual connector that snaps right into our fan. And then over here, we've got 3 leads. We've got a blue lead, we've got a brown lead, we've got a black lead. We've kept the blue one off. That is the high speed section of the fan. We don't need that. I tied into the brown, which is the low speed. And right here, you can see where I've got both the green and the blue wire, just to get that extra ampacity that we need in the wiring up to our relay. I've got that tied in. Now, I haven't dressed the wires here yet. I've just got them coming out of the front of the chassis harness. But I've pretty much got everything else in place. You can see I added some cushion clips, one here and one over here. That's going to keep all the wiring up out of the way. We'll probably add one more here in the center. And then everything else will be, you know, up to the sides of the car, side of the radiator over here. We're gonna have the headlights and the parking lights, and same thing over on the driver's side. So we'll get to that dressing of the wires when we get to that stuff later in the build. But for now, everything under here is pretty much done. Here is that second ground stud that I welded in. This is going to be for the fan. I've got the wire right here inside the harness. We'll put an eyelet on this, and that'll tie directly to there. Now I did tie this in with the grounds for the existing fan circuit, which is this black here, and also for the headlights. So everything's tied together. This is just giving us a secondary ground that's big enough in opacity to carry the load of that bigger fan. So this will land right here. We'll have basically a chassis ground here, and then we'll have one behind the dash, and then that one that I showed you over on the motor mount over there. And this is our ground behind the dash. Again, you can see, not the prettiest of welds. The chassis ground that is currently down in here somewhere. It might be on the bottom. Not sure where it is. Anyways, there's a ground, a chassis ground that the Ron Francis harness has coming out of the fuse box. We're going to relocate that one up to here, and that's going to give us a spot to ground everything behind the dash. So our gauges, our lights for our gauges, anything that's going to need a ground is going to ground right directly to the chassis right here. Now here's the skinny on the welder. I've got a number of welders. I've got the nice big Airco here, which is a 220 volt, 50 amp welder, great welder. But I don't have 50 amps run into the shop at this time. I have a box over on the wall right there that I could tie in, and I could hook that welder up. But I haven't gotten around to it. Other things have been more important. And for grounds like this, generally speaking, my welder, my Clark welder, which is just, it's basically a knockoff of the Miller 185. The Clark welder works perfect. And that was until I tried welding here day before yesterday, or yesterday. And it's hot here. It's probably 110, maybe on the low side, 107 during the day. So everyone in the neighborhood here, and we've got mixed use here because it's businesses mixed in with residential properties. Everyone's just taxing the power grid right now because it's hot and everyone's got their air conditioning on. And so after I was just struggling trying to get these welds done, I was making sure the gas was on the bottle, making sure I hadn't run out of gas in the bottle, changing the settings on my wire speed, the heat range of the welder. I mean, I was just having no luck whatsoever. It's never been this hard to weld. Well, I just happened to glance over at this power meter that I have plugged into the wall. And I don't know what it's reading right now. Right now it is reading 115.9, 116 volts right now. Well, at the time that I was welding, I looked over there and that thing was reading 102 volts. And every time I would weld, it would drop down to 80 volts. Now, I don't know if everybody's lights in the neighborhood were dropping and flickering and all that when I was trying to weld or not, but the welder, it just can't work on 80 volts. And so that's the problem. I didn't have enough power. And so, lesson learned, you know, when it's a hot day, do not pick that time to weld. So even the last weld I did, which was behind the dash, that one you saw that was in kind of big welds, I did that early this morning before it got hot, and I still struggled. The welder just didn't have enough power behind it to weld what I would consider properly. So what I ended up having to do is I had to keep like tacking it around the outside, build up enough heat in the part itself, both the stud and the frame, and then I was able to kind of get the weld bead to get hot enough to get the weld to penetrate. Not the way you want to weld, but I did go back and I checked the welds. I cleaned them up, you know, with the grinder just to dress them and make them look nicer before I painted them. And it looks as though they all have good penetration from what I could see. But yeah, not the ideal conditions for welding. So that's kind of the story on that. I've been welding since I was in high school. I put this a post up on Facebook. Basically, I learned to weld in high school. I went to a trade school. And so we learned how to weld our first year in high school. And I started out with TIG welding and gas welding, graduated to MIG welding and TIG welding. And I've been, you know, getting better over the years. I don't say I'm not a perfect welder, but I get by. I get pretty good results out of the experience that I have. And yesterday was just a very frustrating day because no matter what I did, the welder just didn't want to weld. And when I finally figured out what it was, the light bulb went off over my head. No pun intended there. And it was like, well, this is why you're struggling. So keep that in mind. If you're struggling with your welds, make sure, one, that your machine is dialed in properly, but make sure you have adequate power for your welder. And this is something that I should have known better because, you know, this area that the shop is in now, you know, it was built in the 1940s. And so the power system, power grid that's down here didn't need to be as big as it, you know, needs to be now way back then. And I don't think a whole lot of infrastructure has gone into this area since the 40s when it originally went in. But you guys don't need to know all that. Anyways, if you're enjoying the content here, as always, please do the like, the share, the subscribe, all that kind of stuff. We really appreciate you watching. You know, I say this all the time. The channel is for the customers that we're building the cars for. The fact that any of you guys are watching them is just kind of a treat. Knowing that some of the knowledge that I've accumulated over the years I can pass on to you and hopefully make your struggles while you're building your cars a little bit less. So thank you. We'll see you next time. Have a great day.